Hello and welcome back to the Metroid Crusade. I'm Caleb,
And I'm Junko.
and today uh, we are going to be talking about Metroid on the NES, the original one. Uh, this is technically our first mission. Ironically, our last episode, you could call our zero mission, I guess. Uh,
Boo.
no. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with it. So yes, we have gone through um, the original Metroid. Uh, I have a feeling that maybe the first four we're going to be filming pretty close together. Um, and then once we get to the Prime games, then it's gonna be like a month or so in between episodes. um, but by the way, have you heard the rumor about the release date for Prime 4?
What's that?
So I think it'll be interesting to put this here as kind of like a time capsule. Um, and I think people are like halfway joking, but like maybe because there's this I saw this on Reddit. It's this exclusive Nintendo calendar, and each month has key art from a different game. And so I believe it's key art from Prime 4 um, that's in September.
That feels like that's not actually it.
Probably not, because I know they keep saying summer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured. I just thought it'd be cool to talk about, because this is a sort of a time capsule, if you will. Um, but yeah, so we're talking about the original Metroid on the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, and I am going to go ahead and start us off with something before we get into this proper. You remember how I said that this was borderline Fed tier, but right now the only thing in Fed tier is Metroid 2.
Yeah.
This might be Fed tier. Because the reason that Metroid 2 is in Fed tier versus this is because I was like, well, Metroid 2 is actually super boring. um, and this actually may have been kind of super boring. uh,
To be honest, I don't think it was boring. I just think it's archaic.
like
That
like old this is the game for a Neanderthal or something like that.
well, I'm not the kind of guy that would be I can handle pretty old stuff.
hmm
Like games, shows, what have you. I can handle but I can't handle it if it's super archaic.
Okay.
And that's a bit of a problem with the original Metroid. I think uh I think I mentioned this to you on the first episode, but the thing about the first two Metroid games is that they share a lot of DNA with the original Zelda games,
Yeah,
but Zelda makes that work better than Metroid by a mile.
I agree. I agree.
They're both games that you're required to have a map or at least make a map. But I think the thing with the original Zelda that makes it a lot more playable than the original Metroid is that even though they are both kind of games that you can get lost in, there's still a lot of recognizable locales in Zelda 1. Like, you don't need the map. It
Right, right.
helps. It really does help, but you don't need it. If you know, like, if you get the feel of the overworld in Zelda, you don't need the map. But with Metroid, even if you played it like 2 or 3 times, I know I have, you're gonna need the map.
Yeah. I also think that it's more fun to make the map for Zelda than it is for Metroid.
Yeah.
Um, but I see what you mean. Like it's very uh I don't know. Everything in Metroid is kind of samey. Uh,
Well, yeah, like in the original Metroid, yes. The
well, that whenever I say Metroid, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Um, like I'm almost going into this assuming that the other games don't exist. Not I'm
Mm.
not exactly, but like when I say Metroid, I'm not talking about the series. I'm talking about this game. Everything in this game is kind of samey. Like the environments all kind of look the same. Some of the room layouts are pretty much the same too.
They are exact carbon copies. Some of these rooms are.
Yeah. Um, but what I think, and I guess I'm not trying to be like super negative about this because I mean,
I mean, there are some like things I do like about the game, but
yeah, yeah. I just I it'd be really unfortunate if like the first two missions proper for us in this crusade are like the negative ones.
well, that's kind of the point of the first two is that like we knew this going in.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the biggest issue, and I don't know what I don't know what uh the designers were thinking. But first of all, the idea of the long beam is I mean like
to
it's
be
the
honest,
worst.
well, I have a hot take. The long beam in Metroid isn't that big of a deal, but you are correct. Like it creates a different problem where it's like if it's not that big of an issue because you get it like so soon, why even put it there in the first place?
Yeah. And then there's also the issue of
Like, I'm reminded of how Valve designs their games,
okay.
which is they give you a an enemy or something that has a problem, like that makes you like it's very difficult to kill or take care of, and then you have to kind of deal with that for like 10 to 20 minutes, maybe even 30, and then they give you a weapon or like an item that helps you overcome it. That's kind of how Valve games sort of work when it comes to like item and enemy design.
I think
And
Castlevania kind of works like that too.
yeah,
Which you know what was funny?
mm.
Last night I was actually playing, and this is one of my favorite. This might be one of my favorite games of all time. I was playing Curse of the Moon, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, and I was just so reminded by like when you pick up an item weapon, it's gonna be used for the next room. um,
Yeah. Well, the thing is like I can definitely think of some enemies that you would prefer to have the long beam on, but the problem is that they are way later in the game. and it doesn't give you that feeling of, aha, now I can take care of these guys with the long beam. I had so much trouble with you guys before, but watch out. You don't really get that because you get the long beam so soon. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah. And
I
then
You know what would actually be really interesting?
what's that?
What if they actually give you the ice beam or the wave beam first, and then the long beam?
That would have been interesting. Yeah. That definitely would
Uh,
have been interesting. I feel
I'm
like
I'm I'm pretty sure there's probably like some Metroid fan mods, like some mods where they change the map around where you have to get the long beam later.
I could see that. Yeah, I honestly, you'd probably get the ice beam first, then the long beam, and then the wave beam. Because the wave beam in this game is kind of like the plasma beam in every other game, where it's just kind of the damage dealer.
Hmm.
Um,
And the ice beam for the utility.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um,
There is a but there is actually some things I really like about this game, and this is that like every Metroid game, with very few exceptions, this game does have sequence breaking and really good sequence breaking too.
yeah. Before we get to sequence breaking, I want to bring up one more thing that's related to the long beam because really one of my pet peeves has to do with it has to do with like just the way the game starts, like starting with 30 energy.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't understand that.
The Here's the thing. I think all our complaints about Metro the original Metroid could be excused as long as you didn't have to do the energy grind.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
that
it's rough. I would rather have the enemies do more damage so that way if I can just recharge my health like quicker, you
yeah.
know?
That's the thing. Whenever it comes to this is an older game, so like I'm not gonna complain about uh like being not being able to shoot at angles or not being able
No.
to shoot down while you're jumping. Like that doesn't bother me
No.
because that's the way this game is made.
Yeah.
But as a player, I just don't understand the 30 energy tank or the 30 energy uh thing.
Yeah, that's really what I mean by archaic. The game can feel really archaic. Is stuff like that where you have to stop playing the game so you can kill like one flying enemy over and over that's coming out of a toilet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like we've all done that.
Yeah, and in like games like Super Metroid, they're aware of it, so they give you that health like instantly, like it's candy.
Yeah.
But in
Um.
this, you have to work for it, and it's only like 10 health.
Yeah. If I recall, Super Metroid, they just hand you the first energy tank, right?
Yeah. Well, to be
Um.
fair, you do get a lot more energy tanks,
Yeah. But
but uh, and there actually is a few neutral things I could say about this game, and that is the oh look, the footage in this has someone getting the ice beam before the long beam.
mhm.
Uh, but yeah, a more neutral thing, and this is just something that as a Metroid veteran, I just had to get used to. But I don't think it's a bad decision. In some ways, I actually kind of like it, and
Okay.
that is you use your missiles a lot more because
Hmm.
missiles, like, pretty much, like, one or two missiles pretty much kills every enemy. So you get much more used to using them as more of a standard, like, killing method.
Oh, I mean, here's the thing. I used to complain about like because I played Super Metroid first, and so coming back to this as a child, I'm like, well, why can't I have the wave beam and the ice beam at the same time?
Hmm.
But I understand it because the wave beam does basically as much damage as a missile.
Yeah,
And so like
and
the
goes through walls.
and goes through walls. So essentially, you've got your ice beam for like your utility, and then your missiles for your damage. Now, I know we definitely disagree on this, um, but uh, I think we can because we disagree on which beam is better, but I think we can agree on which beam is better at what thing.
Yeah,
Because
there's
I think the
there
wave
there
beam is better, and you think
there's
the ice
two.
beam is better.
Yeah, I think the ice beam is better.
Well, and I
Uh,
understand that I have the hot take. I'm the weird one.
well, I wouldn't say it's that hot. I mean, it's like Coke or Pepsi, like, practically.
Kind
Uh,
of.
because it's only a choice of two. It's not like gonna be in uh Metroid 2 where there will be more of a discussion.
I am interested to see how that works out because I've not played Metroid 2 in a long time, and I know that it has a spazer and the plasma beam as well.
Yeah,
And so, like,
and the plasma beam.
I thought
Or
I said
oh, I thought you said wave beam.
oh, well, it has that too. I mean, basically, starting in Metroid 2, we have our um, four standard beams with the power cannon, the wave beam, the ice beam, and the plasma beam. So that starts in Metroid 2. I'm curious how much that actually has an effect on the games. um, because honestly, you could go this is actually me admitting that I'm actually wrong about the wave beam, but like I'll admit it, like you can go through this entire game without ever picking up the wave beam.
Mhm.
Um and so
And
I'm
you can't really say that about the ice beam.
yes, no, no. Well, that's the big thing is ice beams are how you defeat
Oh,
the
oh yeah, the
ti- ti-
Metroids.
the title enemy.
But even then, it's gonna be like, there are certain things that the ice beam can do that make the quality of life of the early games so much easier.
Hmm.
There's actually, I'm reminded of this. So this is actually kind of a weird thing I noticed while playing the game, and that is so you know how Symphony of the Night is credited with putting RPG elements to Metroidvania games?
Yes.
There is a argument that the original Metroid also has RPG elements to an extent.
Okay, talk to me.
Okay, so the first, like, the two bosses of the game, Ridley and Kraid,
Hmm.
they are they're damage sponges. They're damage sponges, and in order to fight them properly, you need to be a damage sponge as well. So
Right,
you kind
right.
and the way you basically get stronger in this game is by picking up missiles, like getting missile pickups, and at least getting a few energy tanks. And you could argue that the Varia suit is kind of like an armor pickup.
It is. No, it definitely is because I mean,
especially in this game since it just lowers damage. It
yeah,
doesn't even give you fire resistance.
I think it gives you. Is it 50% damage resistance?
I think so.
Yeah. Um, and then you could. I mean, the screw attack is kind of uh,
That's more of a quality of life feature.
yeah, I suppose.
You can go the game without
Yeah. What do you think about? Let's start with
it.
Kraid.
How much? You told me this. How much damage? How many hits does it take with the regular beam versus how much damage you need to do with the missiles?
Oh man. So I think uh power and ice beam do do 1 damage, and then missiles do 4 damage, and I think Kraid has 90 health
Mm,
and Ridley has 120 health.
mm. And we just saw right there, he killed him with bombs.
Yeah.
But I think bombs are like around. I think somewhere in between missiles and beams. But notice that he had to basically face tank the
Yeah.
bombs in order to beat it.
Well, whenever you were playing, I sat down and you were doing Kraid.
I was trying to do
Um,
like strategies, like okay, I'm gonna freeze all of his like attacks. So that way, I have a clear shot and
well,
just
it doesn't work
missile the
because
crap out of him.
once you freeze them, you don't have a clear shot.
Hmm. And then you
um,
just suggested just
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 go
get
in.
in and just shoot it.
Yeah, just yeah. I said you're thinking too hard. Just I'm not. I can't say what I actually said on this channel, but I definitely said something along the lines of "You're thinking too hard." Just uh, go in and show him what's up, essentially.
Yeah,
um,
and I proceeded to show him what's up. Uh, but yeah, even with the footage that we have right now, like the optimal strategy for these bosses is to face tank. Oh, poor guy there. Uh, is to face tank the boss and just it's the classic Doom strategy for the Cyber Demon. Shoot at it until it dies.
yeah. Um,
Now the real
well, so which of the two? We'll call them the Turian Guardians. Which one do you think is like it? I guess it's not really a question because they're kind of samey. But which one's a better boss fight?
I would say Kraid's slightly harder, to
Kraid
be
slightly
honest.
harder.
Yeah, because uh like Ridley's to be honest, Ridley's fireballs you can actually just freeze them pretty easily
Hmm.
and then get a clear shot, but Kraid's a bit hard to do that for. But you I will admit, yes, they're both a bit samey. Now the actual traversal, oh, Ridley's traversal is way harder.
Yeah.
You getting the screw attack is practically a necessity for Ridley's area.
Um, I would definitely say I like Kraid's boss fight more just because like they are kind of samey, but I think it's easier to just go in brainlessly with Kraid, and I think that's funny to me. And so I prefer that because Ridley kind of he's not necessarily flying around, but he's kind of flying around. Um, and I don't know. It's a little bit less fun, I guess. Um,
I
But
do
before,
like how Kraid has a false boss fight. You do you remember
uh,
false Kraid?
right, yeah,
Yeah, see the
yeah,
angle of Ridley there?
uh-huh,
Much easier to just wail on him. Oh wait,
yeah,
there it is. Yeah, there's like a safe spot for Ridley.
which is funny. I mean, this is
This is embarrassing.
well, this reminds me of a Destiny boss fight, honestly. um, well, anyway, so I feel like we're getting closer and closer to Turian, and I want to be saving that. So before we move on to Turian, let's talk about
Some other
more
some other things.
some other aspects. So
Secrets breaking.
yeah. We were talking about I interrupted you talking about secrets breaking, so we can talk about um the pacing and the bosses, which I think at this point we can kind of agree. And for those of who don't know, and if you've watched some of the channel, my favorite game of all time is Ocarina of Time, because I think that game is a masterclass in pacing. Um, I think the pacing is non-existent in this game.
Yeah.
Um, that's really what it comes down to for
You,
me. Is just like the
you,
pacing is off.
you know what's really funny about like the funny thing about this game is that when you play through Zero Mission, you could see the game desperately trying to give you pacing.
Yes, yes. And I have not played Zero Mission in
I here the
a long time.
funny thing is Metroid 2 actually does have some pretty decent pacing.
I don't believe you. We'll find out. But right now, I don't believe you.
I mean,
um,
but the problem is it you lose some of the magic of this game as well by like going full on pacing.
yeah, because I mean, it's ironic that we're talking about pacing in a Metroid game, because with sequence breaking, you can kind of just mess up the pacing,
Or surpass the pacing.
surpass the pacing. You can make the pacing better.
Yeah. Like, you know what's the ultimate example of this in this game?
What's that?
Early Various.
Yeah.
What you do is you get the ice beam and the long beam, uh, go to the place where the Various suit is. You don't need the high jump boost or anything. Do the shooting, like shoot up on the ceiling where the Various suit is. Lure an enemy up to that hole, and then once you and the enemy is near the door where the Various suit is, shoot the ice beam, climb on top, boom, Various suit in the first like 10 to 20 minutes of the game.
Right.
Lifesaver.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. It's either one energy tank, or like you can get it before your first energy tank.
One.
One. That's what I thought.
So by the time you get it, you'll pretty much everything in like in the opening like overworld won't kill you
Hmm.
unless you're actively trying to get killed.
So I was reading something just about the background of this game, and there is obviously less information the farther we go back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so obviously this was made by Nintendo R&D one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they were made by R&D one all the way up to Zero Mission. Um,
Yeah.
well, obviously, not counting the Prime games.
Yeah.
Um, did you know that this game. So this is actually the only game where Nintendo R&D 1 co-developed the game. The other games they develop it by their own, but Intelligent Systems helped out with this game.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, this was back when intelligent systems didn't really make games; they helped make games.
I they made Fire Emblem by this point, right?
I think they might have only made Advance Wars. Let me look that up.
No, I
Or
just
not Advance Wars, Famicom Wars.
no, I see it right here. So Metroid came out in '86, Famicom Wars came out in '88. So
So yeah, this was 2 years before Famicom Wars.
yeah,
So definitely not Fire
yeah,
Emblem.
and then Fire Emblem that was 1990. So
Yeah.
all right. But yeah, so this is one of Intelligent Systems' first games, which is interesting. Um, I was also reading an old interview um, with Hip Tanaka, who did the
Hmm.
music for this game. Uh, and do you know what he said? He said that he made the melodies more minimalistic because Tanaka wanted the soundtrack to be the opposite of hummable. And I have no idea what he's talking about because like I mean Kraid's Lair, which would eventually be known as Brinstar Depths. Then you have Brinstar, the main the opening theme.
Well,
Uh,
to cut him some slack on the opening theme, every opening theme of Metroid is supposed to be a bit of a show tune.
yeah,
Even
uh,
Metroid 2, which probably has the most minimalistic soundtrack. The first song it's a catchy one. It's an earworm.
mhm. And then of course produced by Gunpei Yokoi. Uh, it's
Yeah,
hard
that's
to
right. The founder, the father of the power arm.
well, in the Virtual Boy.
Oh yeah.
No,
Uh,
but he's also the father of the Game Boy and Metroid. So you know, you take what you can get. I don't know if I could. Is he? Do you think he's kind of like the Miyamoto of Metroid?
uh, I suppose like
Yeah,
in the same way that like with like Zelda.
yeah. Because you know he kind of did the old games, but like in my opinion, and I'm gonna have to look this up real quick, or I'm gonna eat my words. But I don't think Zelda like super popped off until Eiji Aonuma took over. Um, hold on, give me a second. I need to see. Uh, oh yeah, no, I'm totally right. Because Eiji Aonuma became the director of Zelda, starting with Ocarina of Time. So I'm right. um, and the really Metroid pops off with Yoshio Sakamoto, who
Yeah,
was an artist, credited artist on this game. So he's still working on it, but he's not in charge just yet.
yeah. That's when it's Super Metroid where he really pops off.
Did he? I think he did. He did Super Metroid, right? Yeah, he
Yep,
direct. Yeah,
yeah.
yep. He directed Super Metroid. Uh,
He also produced the WarioWare series.
that's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's why there's that's why there's a lot of Metroid stuff in WarioWare. Ever notice that?
Well, yes, I have noticed that. Which
Like out of all the 9 volt games, there's like a lot of Metroid.
yeah, and ironically, the GameCube one is code developed by R&D 1 and Intelligent Systems. Um, but yeah, I just thought that was interesting. With the background of the first game, because yeah, there's really not a whole lot to go off of. I think once we get to Super or Fusion, I think we'll start getting more information on the background, and then obviously with Prime, like we'll have plenty of information to go off
Well,
of.
yeah, there's definitely like I know for a fact that we definitely have a lot of information on Fusion. Like, have you seen some of the old Fusion gameplay? Like the
You mean Metroid 4?
oh yeah, ooh, looking rough. That was definitely this was originally a Game Boy Color game.
Yeah. Um, which which is interesting. Um,
But we can get back to that a little later because we're getting a little sidetracked.
yeah, yeah. Did you play this through only one time? I played through this twice. I played through it the second time with Justin Bailey on.
I did not play Justin Bailey.
Okay. Did you play Nar Password?
I did not play with any passwords.
Okay, gotcha. Um, I don't know. I think it's fun that like so you have the secret ending where it turns out that Samus is a girl,
Mm-hmm.
and then they had the foresight to be like, we have this character model. Why
I
don't
mean,
we
we have
let?
the sprite.
Yeah. We have this sprite. I mean, like let's let people use it
That's
if
just
they put in a cheat code.
well, no, you get it like after you beat the game.
Really?
Yeah, I got it. I got Justin Bailey after beating the game.
Okay. I guess I never noticed that. Well, I guess like every time I've beaten Metroid, uh,
You
I
shut the
just
game off.
I just shut the game off. Yeah.
But
um,
I although the now we're talking about the twist. Uh, I'm reminded of promotional material from of Metroid around the same time the first
that
Metroid game came out.
that refers to Samus as he.
Well, not just that, but also like there's comics and whatnot where like Samus is a womanizer, like like a lot of like crazy stuff.
I mean, here's the thing. I I'm actually cool with that. Like if you want to make Samus like Nintendo's version of Vi from League of Legends, I'm totally fine with that. Even though I know that Samus is more Caitlyn. Um, but yeah, no, I think the only manga that we're really going to seriously talk about will be like as an intro to the Zero Mission
Yeah,
video, because
like that, that,
that's the
that
only
that's
one
the
that
only one that's
matters.
actually like super relevant.
Yeah, that's the only one that matters. um,
It's actually shocking that that manga hasn't been officially released in the US yet.
it's not shocking with how much they don't release in America. It is not shocking.
Well, they've released all of the Zelda manga.
Yeah, but
Maybe the problem is just like lack of publishers,
maybe.
and it is pretty dark. It's relatively dark in comparison to the other Nintendo mangas.
Yeah.
Like
So
it kind of ends on a downer note because it's the intro to Zero Mission.
yeah. You would almost have
Notice
to.
how we're not talking about Metroid and instead talking about anything but the original game.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, like as far as the manga goes, you'd almost have to like write new material to like extend the ending to the original game, so that way it
No, no,
doesn't.
no, no. Basically, at the end of the manga in the U.S., just put an ad for Nintendo online subscription.
It's like, want to see the end? Play this. Well, and the thing is like in order to see the end, you can't just get the Nintendo Online subscription. You have to get the deluxe version so you can play Zero Mission. Which, God, we're gonna have to get that in order to make this easier, aren't we?
Hmm.
All right, so let's go ahead and final stretch. Talk to me about Turian.
Okay, so I'm a little like mixed on this because on the one hand, this part is like ball busting, like difficult,
I think at
but on
least it
the other
looks.
hand,
I think it looks.
it's super difficult and like in a real way, and I actually kind of like it.
I like the fact that it at least looks different from the rest of the game.
Well, yeah, and the Metroids, they actually are fairly tough. Like even
Mhm.
if you know the way to beat them, they can be fairly tough because like if you mess up once, it's really hard to get the Metroids off of you.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know how I messed up?
Oh.
So I wanted to prove a point that like I only go get the ice beam when it's necessary, but I forgot to, and so I went to Torian with the wave beam.
I
So I had
mean,
to.
theoretically, you can beat the game with the wave beam because you don't have to kill the Metroids, but
It's hard. Like
yeah, you
you
have
gotta.
to face tank so much. Uh, Now Mother Brain. Ooh, that's a tough one. And doesn't
I have a
look
question.
tough.
Real talk. Is Mother Brain the issue, or is it the Spaghettios?
Well, the SpaghettiOs are a part of her, so
Not exactly, because the Spaghettios are throughout Turian.
yeah. But for simplicity's sake, yes, the SpaghettiOs are part of the boss as well as the cannons, as you can see right there, and
Yeah.
also the fact that it drains you of resources just to reach Mother Brain.
Yep.
Like, not only are you being drained of missiles, but because of all the SpaghettiOs and like pot shots from those cannons, you're gonna be at a much less comfortable health pool than you might want. And the floor is lava near Mother Brain too, so
Yeah.
you're it is surprisingly stressful.
Yeah.
But
I
but but on the other hand, I'm glad that this boss is actually a boss.
as opposed to Kraid and Ridley.
Yeah, where you just kind of face tank it until it dies.
Uh, I remember Josh was texting me, just raging about Mother Brain while he was playing it for the first time. Because once again, our friend Josh, he's only ever played Super, and so he's going
Oh,
through
that's
these.
rough for him. Because
Yeah,
in
he
Super, spoilers, you fight her again, but like in a similar fashion. But it's like so much easier.
yeah
Like you can actually stand on the platform, like next to Mother Brain, like the little ledge next to Mother Brain, and just pop her with missiles. You can't do that with in this game. You have to uh stand on a very specific ledge. and you have to specifically pop with missiles. If you don't have any missiles, you're not hurting Mother Brain.
Yep.
It's not like the other bosses where you can kill with the beams. You need a specific amount of missiles in order to even kill Mother Brain. And
Yep.
you want to have a little bit of excess in case you like miss or a
Spe-
Spaghettio decides to be a hero.
decides to be a hero.
Like, it's tough.
Yeah.
And then after that, the escape sequence. And unlike other games, this escape sequence is actually pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't fall when I did it, but it's very easy to like fall, like if you're not careful. Like, I have a question. Did Josh mess up on the escape?
I didn't hear anything about that, so probably not.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, I kind of wanted to taste the salt of the escape sequence. Uh, I'm actually a Mother Brain actually has a very similar boss fight in a completely separate game series. Like this
Okay.
specific Mother Brain. The Icon of Sin from Doom 2 has the exact same sort of boss
Oh
where
yeah.
it is a stationary uh like it's not you're not even fighting a boss, you're fighting a wall texture. So you're fighting a wall texture, and this wall texture is spitting out enemies to harass you while you're trying to pump the boss full of rockets. It's the exact same thing as Mother Brain. Though to be honest, the Icon Sin is way easier. Somehow the demons of hell are less dangerous than noodles
Aliens.
created by Chef Boyardee.
Yeah.
The real
Yeah.
villain, really the real villain of the Metroid series is Chef Boyardee.
Are you
You know,
pronouncing it weird on purpose?
that's actually how it's pronounced.
Oh.
Chef Boyardee.
Pasta fajoule. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I. This was an interesting experience. Um, I gotta be honest. The more we talk about this, like, I enjoy this game. I enjoy every Metroid game to an extent. This might be the first thing we move, and that would be moving it to Fed tier.
What if we actually enjoy Metroid 2 more than we expected?
I'm kind of scared of that. I don't like being wrong.
And you're already wrong once.
I know. I know.
So double whammy, double barrel incorrectness.
Yeah. So, but I still enjoy this game. It's it's one that, like, I think everyone should play it at least once.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Everyone should play it at least once, and Zero Mission is not a replacement for it. Uh, we have said this on numerous occasions. The remakes are not actually remakes; they are different games. So, playing Zero Mission does not mean you get the experience of Metroid, and playing Samus Returns does not mean you get the experience of Metroid 2. They are, for all intents and purposes, completely different games. And
Mm-hmm.
so I do think that everyone should play this at least once. But comparatively to the rest of the series, um, this is definitely the first game.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you got anything else to close out?
Nothing in particular.
All right. Well, So that is going to be the first mission for the Metroid Crusade. Next up, we are going to be going through obviously Metroid 2, Return of Samus, and if you want to play along with us, you can play it on the Game Boy. You can play it on Nintendo Switch Online. Um, and then I think if you have it on like the old virtual console or the 3DS virtual console, I think you can play it on those as well. Um, Actually, I don't think you can play it on the Wii virtual console, but you can play it on the 3DS virtual console if you had already bought it um, before the servers went down. So if you have access to any of those and you want to join us and play through that, we're going to be doing that, and yeah, that'll be our next game. I expect us to be recording the next episode here within the next week or so, probably. Um, but until then, I've been Caleb,
And I'm Chunko.
and we'll catch you later.